So a few days ago, I released a video called Why the Battlefront Collection is a Scam, where I talked about how the game was overpriced, overhyped, and probably wasn't going to turn out the way people were expecting it to. And with the game being out for just over a day now, it seems that I called it exactly. Now, I'm not happy with this. In fact, I would prefer that I was wrong, but I wasn't. I mean, the writing was kind of on the wall with this one. For starters, the collection was announced seemingly out of nowhere with a very near release date to when it was announced, and that's never a good sign. From the beginning, this whole thing looked like a cheap nostalgia bait cash grab, with Aspyr doing their absolute best with the trailer and the sheer brand recognition to get people hyped for the re-release of one of the greatest games of all time. Look, I love the original Star Wars Battlefront. Along with Halo 2 and maybe a few select other titles from that era, it's amongst one of my favorites of all time, so to see the re-release collection being treated like this by its developers is beyond disgusting. Just from the reviews I've read so far, there's a whole host of issues, including, but not limited to, major desync, lag, a piss-poor and completely lazy, unresponsive UI, constant crashing, abnormally short multiplayer games, a lack of servers, and as a result, 1 to 2 hour waiting times just to get into a match, and when you finally do, there's a good chance you'll just be disconnected, sending you right back to the start all over again. This is actually giving me flashbacks to the 2014 release of the Master Chief Collection, where that game had many of the same issues Battlefront has. But despite all of these I've listed yet, I'm not even done. People are having major graphical bugs where the snow on the Battle of Hoth map appears purple for some reason. There are save files being corrupted. There are certain names you can't use for your profile. The promised so-called exclusive DLC maps aren't even on the disc, and apparently there are problems downloading the day one patch to obtain them, which also is making the game reach way into the realm of taking up over 70 gigabytes on people's hard drives. This is absolutely insane. 70 gigabytes for a game from 2005. To add insult to injury, like I predicted in my last Battlefront video, it seems that the vast majority of pre-existing mods for the original releases no longer work on the collection, which, well, it's not a massive surprise, it's still yet another fault in a game that seems to have no upsides whatsoever. Currently, the collection sits at an overwhelmingly negative review on Steam, with only about 19% of them being positive. On the topic of reviews, it seems that most of the internet are completely shitting on this and its developers, though I've unfortunately seen some not only defending this dumpster fire, but intentionally misrepresenting the quality of the collection. You have this one guy using a thumbnail that depicts the old Battlefront graphics as being grainy and pixelated, while the new ones allegedly look pristine and clear. While I know this is only a thumbnail, it's extremely disingenuous in my opinion, and it's absolutely absurd how in his next video he goes on to complain about the game being broken. It's like some people on YouTube have no sense of pride and will just shill for whatever depending on which way the wind blows. It's disgusting. Now, Aspyr has apparently responded to the issues plaguing the game by just saying more or less that they're working on it. Why is it that with every release of a game, be it a brand new product or a re-release of an old game, we have the same issues? It's like these corporations do no testing whatsoever on their end at worst, or at best they do minimal testing, see the problems, and then just wing it. I think Aspyr knew damn well that they would make a pretty penny off this collection, given the fact that it's such a beloved franchise. Like I said earlier, when I think of games from the mid-2000s that were popular, the two that come to mind right away are Halo 2 and the two Star Wars Battlefronts. Aspyr knew what they were doing releasing news of this collection so out of the blue. They wanted to generate as much hype as possible to fool people into making an emotional decision without thinking, and their tactic worked. This wasn't a screw-up, this was intentionally by design. It's no different than the various other companies shoehorning in microtransactions, live service, and DRM places it doesn't belong despite the backlash they receive from gamers. It's not that they don't understand, it's not that they made an error, they simply don't care and they just follow the quickest and easiest way to get money, and this collection reeks of that. What really baffles me is the fact that so many seem surprised by the state of this launch, and I really don't see why anybody would be. Thousands of people pre-ordered this before it was even out. In an age where pre-orders, especially for PC, make no sense, loads of people are still doing it. And to those, I will say, you get what you deserve. I'm so sick and tired of people complaining over and over again about how brutally messed up game X, Y, or Z is on launch, and then going to pre-order again and again. We need to stop doing this. Now, I know it's not everybody, but there's still a sizable portion of people that do it. And they're the reason why the video games industry gets away with as much as they do. It's because too many gamers act like immature children with no emotional regulation. A lot of people are going to get real mad at me for saying that, but it's true. It's not our job to beta test or crowdfund new games. There's no excuse for the cut content, microtransactions, things being locked behind DLC that were supposed to be part of the original game. There is no excuse for any of this the way it happens today to the extent that it does. Companies are supposed to invest in development time and hardware to make the best product available and give to us, the consumers, that product in a functional state. But they're not, because they get away with it because people tolerate it. I didn't buy a Battlefront collection. I won't be buying it. I don't buy a lot of modern games because of this crap. But the fact remains, a lot of people will continue to do so. And that is why releases like this keep happening. It seems that the modern industry standard consists of a cycle where the developer overpromises, releases a broken game, then has the community beta test it for 2+ years. When all is said and done, half of that community gets mad and then just walks away, but it doesn't matter because the company already has their money, and then the other half desperately tries to defend their poor decision making by insisting that the game is better now, or insert developer really turned it around this time, when in reality, more often than not, it's too little too late, as most of those games by then have a dying player base and are still never completely fixed. Look at the Master Chief Collection again for an example of that. But because the initial standard was set so low, where the game didn't work in the first place hardly at all, having it in an even partially functioning state is just seen as acceptable, when in reality, neither should be. The game should work day one. That's it. That is final. While there is more pushback against this type of thing, especially over the last few years, there's also still a sizable portion of gamers who continue to tolerate and make excuses for these developers. Regardless, if you did make the mistake of pre-ordering, I encourage you to go get a refund this crap, and go buy the original PC releases before they delist them. They'll run on virtually any hardware, they're cheaper, and the multiplayer actually works. There's also mod support, and overall I think you'll have a much better time with that than the collection. But that's going to be it for me today. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. If you liked the video or share my frustration with the state of Battlefront and modern gaming as a whole, leave a like and consider subscribing. Thank you always for watching. Have a great day and stay safe. Goodbye.